Hey everyone, thanks for joining our live stream today. I'm Dahlia and I'll be hosting this live stream. Today I'm really excited to be introducing Yuriy Artamonov. I can't believe I did this again. I actually have something going in the background, so I have to mute it. They're probably giggling in the background. Sorry, give me 1 minute to mute everything here. Oh, found it. It was Twitter. Don't click on Twitter video. Sorry about that. I'm really excited to be hosting Yuriy Artamonov today. He's one of the developers on the IntelliJ IDEA JetBrains team. And he's going to be talking to us today about Selenium and UI test automation with Selenium and Java. I love working with Yuriy. He's very knowledgeable. You might recognize him from our chats and other live streams where he's always answering questions, helping developers out. So he's very happy to answer any questions and talk to you about Selenium today. I'm really looking forward to this session. Let's add Yuriy on, and he's probably going to give me some crap about not muting my video.
Hi guys, and today I really know what is your problem, Dalia, because you should automate this stuff with muting all kind of applications on your PC. You did not do this, but you should automate all this, like single button hit, disable everything.
Yes, I should have a IntelliJ IDEA plugin that will do that once I start any live stream. Is one of it is muting everything in my browser. Thank you. Awesome. Yuriy, thank you so much for joining us today. I am really happy to be hosting, and I just wanted to ask, what are some of your favorite things about Selenium?
My most favorite, my very nice thing about Selenium is that it is most widely used libraries out there for UI test automation. You can find everything there. You can find any library, any language, supports Selenium WebDriver. You can find continuous integration tools easily. You can set up it, and it is like really stable. You can do everything, and you can expect that it will work nicely in your use cases.
I agree with that. It's stable. I love seeing all the support for all the different languages. So yeah, that's awesome. So before we get started, just a couple of things. This session is being recorded and will be uploaded to the IntelliJ IDEA YouTube channel. So don't forget to like if you're learning anything new. And if you have any questions, post them in the YouTube chat. We'll hopefully get back to them at the end of this session. So Yuriy, go ahead and take this.
Yeah, thanks. Guys, we really need your questions, so don't hesitate to post many of them to our chat. So let's start our webinar today. I'm talking about UI test automation. And before we start, I should mention a couple of things about myself. I'm developing libraries, frameworks, and tools for developers for a very long time. And I'm trying to bring new useful tools to your daily development routine. And in JetBrains, in IntelliJ IDEA team, I'm working on Selenium UI testing plugin and trying to improve your development experience with the Selenium libraries. But today, I'm primarily talking about Selenium Ecosystem, and we are talking about Selenium libraries and tools that can be useful for you and your workflows. And topics today are, first of all, we'll try to set up new Selenium project. And let's see how we should do this in this year. Nowadays, without very old APIs and without old practices, we'll try to run this code, and we'll try to see new modern APIs on top of Selenium libraries. Also, we're talking about reporting libraries slightly, like a couple of minutes. And we'll talk about running Selenium on continuous integration and how we should do this. Like all this stuff mentioned here, let's try to proceed to the actual content. So Let's talk about testing ecosystem first of all. Recently, we had the results of development ecosystem survey on JetBrains.com, and there you'll find really nice results about end-to-end testing. 35% respondents said they write end-to-end tests, and that's huge. This number grows over year, and I see this is like huge win for all IT, because now we write end-to-end tests. And if we check the next metric, like which programming languages do you use for test automation, we'll see Java is dominating this ecosystem. In Java, in JVM ecosystem, you can find anything for UI test automation. Also, Kotlin is catching up. You'll see 8% of people actually use Kotlin for test automation. That's huge for us in JetBrains too. So I believe we should talk about Kotlin Java comparison slightly today too. So that's our starting point. So UI test automation is huge. Java is huge here. Let's talk about Selenium ecosystem and Java and UI test automation. So first of all, Selenium is not only single library. Selenium is a huge ecosystem, is a rock-solid ecosystem where you can find almost everything for UI test automation. You can find like simple user agent library. You can find different concise and big enough frameworks for your tests. You can even find different continuous integration tools from different vendors. And that's why Selenium is a really nice way of doing UI tests nowadays. You should expect that you can do almost everything with Selenium. And let's proceed to the starting point. We'll try to create a new end-to-end automation project based on Selenium. But before we go and start new project, I would recommend you to install our Selenium plugin for IntelliJ IDEA. If you do not use IntelliJ IDEA or cannot install this plugin, you can just create a new Java project or follow me with a special sample application. I will share the link later. And let's try to create a new project in IntelliJ IDEA with Selenium libraries. So I'm going to open IntelliJ IDEA. Let me just switch to it, and we're going to create a new project. So I've installed my Selenium UI testing plugin, and in new project wizard, we can find Selenium item here. So we will create a new UI test automation project. Let's call it, I don't know, UI tests, maybe. Okay, I will use pretty standard development stack for now for this empty project. It will be Maven, Java, JUnit, JDK 11 as a standard starting point, as LTS release. I will disable example code for this new project and start from scratch. Also, on the second step, I have the following options, the following additional libraries. And here we can see that so many additional stuff available. We see reporting libraries, we see different frameworks on top of Selenium APIs, and let's create an empty project with Selenium only. I believe we tried this so many times. Let's see how we can do this nowadays. So Selenium only, and click finish. IntelliJ IDEA will create a new project for us, and we will see how we should start with automation today. Okay, so everything is setting up. I have a POM XML file where we have only Selenium Java library with the latest version. And if you remember, we should go and create tests actually. Yeah, so we'll create something called, I don't know, maybe main test. Okay, main test. Here I will add test method. And if you just try to repeat everything, follow me, you can see all the shortcuts on the bottom, Like I use Alt Insert to create new files and create new test methods. Let's create something like open, I don't know, Google, for instance. Okay, and that's it. And now we should go and somehow figure out how we should proceed with Selenium. Yeah. If you, like me, already try to automate something with Selenium, first of all, you should set up driver binary. You remember, if you tried this previously, we should go download WebDriver binary compatible with a local browser. We should specify its path to WebDriver binary in tests like this, like system set property and some weird property, WebDriver Chrome driver, for instance. But today we should not do this anymore. I want to mention one nice library today called WebDriver Manager. We will not go and repeat this mistake again and download all the resources manually and put them on a local disk. But instead, we will add this library, WebDriver Manager, and it will automatically download all the necessary stuff for us. So let's try to see how we can do this. I switch back to my IntelliJ IDE. Let's go to pom.xml. Here, I will add dependency WebDriver Manager. Okay, it will be this dependency. Now we should go and refresh Maven project. IntelliJ IDE will download all the Maven libraries and attach them to the project. So now we have all libraries here. So we have WebDriver Manager here in the libraries section of project view. So we can start creating our tests. I will share a single variable called WebDriver. Oh, sorry. In my tests. Also, I'm going to set up this driver for all tests in this class in static method, like setup driver. Okay, here we're going to use WebDriver Manager, this static class with useful methods like Firefox driver, Chromium driver, or Chrome driver. And in my case, I will use Firefox driver today and setup. That's it. Also, we should go and annotate this method as before all. On each class, on each method, we'll also create driver with a new Firefox driver. So now we finally have our test set up, and we can write actual code that will try to open something useful, like get, I don't know, https google.com. Also, I completely forgot to tear down my driver. Please don't do this. And I will add driver.quit here. So now we have this test. I will try to find the element there by tag name. It will be, I don't know, input, for instance. And this is input. We'll paste some content there. Oh, sorry. Sent yes. I don't know, Selenium, for instance. That's it. See, we have not downloaded anything manually so far. Let's see if we can run this code, because I'm brave enough and I'm trying new stuff every day. But I don't know, maybe this should not run at all. Let's go and run this code from Gutter icon. Just click here and click run, and I will set breakpoint here just to see the moment that we have Firefox opened and Google opened there. So now I can see IntelliJ IDEA is running my JUnit test, building everything, setting up, and we should see some progress of downloading WebDriver. Wow, nice. We have google.com, open it. You know, I have not downloaded anything from the internet. I don't know which driver version I should have. I just used WebDriver Manager to manage all this stuff for me. So now we have this. We can send keys there, and we will see Selenium enter it here to this input. Finally, we have this working. It's not actually a test because there's no assert in the code, but we tried to set up everything from scratch. We have not used any framework so far, only simple, small library called WebDriver Manager. This is must-have library if you do not use any frameworks on top of Selenium. So please do not set up drivers manually nowadays. Okay, let's go to the next topic and talk about modern APIs on top of Selenium. I should mention at least 3 productive libraries or frameworks on top of Selenium. First is my favorite. It is called Solenoid. It is like the most useful Selenium library on the market on JVM. It can be used with any JVM language, actually Java, Kotlin, and Groovy, and even with Scala if you want. Also, there is quite useful library called Fluent. It is also consists of many functionality useful when you do UI testing. And finally, I should mention a library called Jab. If you try to set up UI test automation with Groovy language and you like dynamic languages, you should definitely try Jab because it really enhances productivity and improves things for you when you automate UI testing with Selenium. So please do not use Selenium directly like we did right now. We will try to use new modern ways of doing UI tests. And today I'm gonna show you Solenoid and how it can improve your productivity on with Java or with Kotlin. Let's see how we can do this. First of all, I should mention that Solenoid is an open source library for JVM. This is just like single jar file with some small dependencies, and it provides quite a lot of enhancements on top of Selenium. It improves your code and your tests, and you should not think about downloading WebDrivers, writing code that is compatible with Ajax, or you should not add any explicit weights and so on. Let's see how we can automate something with Solenoid. Okay, let's go back to IntelliJ IDEA. Here I will close this test and we'll create one more project because we'll have different setup. Let's go here to new project wizard. I'm going to create something like Solenoid like demos, for instance, and I will use Gradle with Java and with JUnit. Also, I will not create any example code. I will use standard setup of libraries with Allure framework and Solenoid. Let's go and click finish. The IntelliJ will create Gradle project this time for us. Personally, I prefer Gradle over Maven because Gradle is slightly better in custom tasks where you need custom setups, custom tasks, or custom code in build scripts. That's why Gradle is better for me. Okay, so we just created a new project with Gradle, Solenoid, and everything is here. Let's try to create new test and automate something. Go and create new Java class. It will be main. I don't know. It will be like main test. Okay. And this time we'll try to automate something useful. Not only Google needs automation, but real life applications need this too. Let's try to create something. It will be a new test method. It will be, I don't know, to do MVC test. Okay, and here we're going to open a special website. Open. It will be Selenoid.open. Okay, here I'm going to open special website where you have many examples of. I will show you it for you. Let me just open web browser. This website, we're going to automate UI testing of this website called todomvc.com. Here you can find many examples of a simple to-do application, like with this to-do field, I don't know, automate everything. And we'll try to do this, like testing of this small application. So I'm going to copy this URL, and we will open it in our web browser. Then we'll try to find this input. Let's try to see how we can find it. I'm going to open development tools here. And here I see this is input with a class contains new to-do. Okay, so how we can do this in Solenoid? Let me add shortcuts for me. I'm going to use a special methods from Solenoid with this $, where you can write simple jQuery-like selectors. So it will be input with new to-do class. We'll try to find this element on the page and send keys, I don't know, like show Selenoid there. After that, we'll try to add this, I don't know, like add this element with press enter. Let me just copy paste this for now. Press enter. And we should check that a new item will appear in our list. Let me check website again. We try to remove everything. Do this by hand, like show Selenoid, enter. And we will have this label with this text, show Selenoid. So we should find this label right after our code completes. And I write this like label with text. Let me just check this. I will switch to maybe XPath or even use special selector from Solenoid with text. Here should be visible. And what is going on here actually? I'm trying to write something concise enough to be my test. I'm going to find element with this text show Selenoid. It should be visible. Like visible means it exists on the page. It is accessible for users, and this will be my assertion. So I need this element on the page right after I press enter. Okay, so this element with text should be visible. Let's try to run this code and see if it works or not. Okay, so let me just run this and see green tests. And you probably know we should actually see our tests red before we see them green. So we are going to start tests twice. And oh, I want to switch to Firefox. Sorry, let me add one more setup method. And also I will show you how we can switch to Firefox on Solenoid. There is a configuration class with simple fields, for instance, browser. I just put a string Firefox here, and that's how I configure my stupid straight tests with Firefox. Now we can run this, but before, let me change this and see failed test, because better test should be failed and then fixed. So run. We're gonna open this to-do-mbc.com examples webpage. Then we write something there, press enter, and trying to see if we have failed tests or not. And we wait for 4 seconds default timeout. And I see this test is failed because there is no such element with this text so far. I'm gonna change this and restart it to see green tests. I believe this is how you should do UI testing with Selenoid. We just go and write simple logic on top of selectors. And our test is green. Nice. So that's how we automate stuff with Selenoid. You see, we just specified browser type. We also didn't download any drivers so far because Selenoid includes WebDriver Manager out of the box. If we check our external libraries here, we will find WebDriver Manager. It is right here because it is a transitive dependency of Selenoid. Also, let's figure out how it works, because this text appears not right after they enter. It may be like some asynchronous code in the web application. These methods with the $sign actually produce not regular web element as in Selenium WebDriver, but Selenoid element. And this is some kind of lazy elements that can even be reused. Let me just show you how we can do this. I'm gonna go crazy and cache my results here. I'm gonna add field, to do input, and this will be a field of my test because I can. Yeah. And if you do something like this in a regular Selenium, you'll see null pointers, exceptions, and something strange happening. But with Selenoid, you can create these elements before manipulating them. And they will be evaluated. This CSS selector will be checked and queried from a web page right when we go and use any methods that needed, like send keys or press enter, or if we use some assertions. Let me check if it works, if it still works. So we are running, ready, steady, go. Firefox opened. Go, open, add, everything works, still works. Nice. What else I should mention here? If you spotted this stuff, I execute methods on the result of $sign, and I can even add next step. For instance, I can I don't know, maybe click there. What does it mean? We have Fluent APIs in Selenoid, so you can write the steps one by one without additional variables in your code. So you can easily go and write this like a simple script with selectors, conditions, and any manipulation methods like send keys or click. That's how we can easily automate stuff with Selenoid. Let's go back to the presentation. Let me open it back. Okay, also I should mention this for option about simple configuration. If you remember, I configured browser using this line. This is not how we should do in a real life, because sometimes I want to test my web application with different web browsers. How we can do this? We just go and remove this at all, open our Gradle script, and here we will configure our web browser with external system properties field, like this. Let me recheck name of the property in Selenoid. Sorry, Selenoid defaults. No, Selenoid config. In this class, Selenoid config, you can find all the available system properties. So you do not need to add anything on top of Selenoid. You can simply configure it externally with system properties. And right now, I'm going to add system property with the value, with the name Selenoid browser. And here we're going to use Firefox. Because default is a Chrome. I do not have a Chrome installed on my PC, so I cannot use Chrome right now. Okay, so that's how we can pass external configuration to Selenoid. Also, sometimes it is useful to configure additional values. For instance, you can even pass remote web browser, or you can configure browser size, or maybe you need different timeout value for asynchronous operations. It is called Selenoid timeout. And let's configure it too. For instance, I have very slow web application. In my case, it will take up to, I don't know, 6 seconds sometimes for asynchronous operations. Let me refresh my Gradle project here. And we'll try to start my to-do MVC test and see if it will use Firefox still, because we do not have Firefox in test mentioned anymore. We can test it with different web browsers with a single code and different configuration. So we open Firefox. Yes, we have this browser running with our test. Nice. So that's how you should configure your tests instead of writing all the configuration, all the driver plumbing in your code. Instead, please use system properties. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. We have so many topics. The next step is a page object pattern. This is sometimes a useful technique. It enables you to share common web page mappings across your tests. I know sometimes IT specialists do not like this pattern, but I believe in quite big code bases, this is inevitable. You should still use page object pattern if you need to separate tests from page-specific code, and also if you need a single repository for all the operations offered by the page. And with Selenium and Selenoid, we have slightly different concept of page object pattern, and I'm going to show you the difference. So we have this project where we used so far only inline selectors, like this selector right here. If we try to use page object pattern, we should extract this field somewhere and call this main page, for instance, and put this there. Let's see the difference between Selenium and Selenoid. And for that, I'm going to show you a new feature of IntelliJ IDEA Selenium plugin called Page Object Generator. If we go to Tools menu, we'll find this option called Generate Selenium Page Object. Let's hit this. Okay. And what's going on here? We have this area which is a web browser actually. Let's find todomvc.com website. Open it. Okay, we're here. We need AngularJS example. Open it. Nice, we have this up and running. This is actually Chromium web browser, like full-blown Chromium web browser. So it even has Chromium DevTools available for you if you need to examine some nodes, or if you want to check console errors, or maybe you need network access. This is really embedded Chromium web browser inside of IntelliJ IDEA. So we employ this web browser to automatically generate page objects for you. Let's try to do this. First of all, I need to find this input. Okay, I will find this element in a page structure and click on this element and use add to page item. Now we have this first element on the page class. This is page web page class, so page object pattern with a regular Selenium library. See, we have a page factory used here. We use find by annotation. Also, we use some kind of selectors, but for our task, let's use simple selectors. For instance, we'll use I don't know, maybe simple input with all the classes. Okay. Also, I will add one more element here. We need this element. Let's find it. Let me find this element where it is. I don't know. Oh, no refresh, please. Okay, we have this label with text show Solenoid. Let me add it to page 2. It should be there, and we need to use maybe a different selector. I don't know, maybe we will use selector with type text and show Solenoid here. And that's how we usually do our page object with Selenium. And I can just copy my code, like copy it, go to my project view, and paste it right here, like to package. Now we have this Java class automatically configured for us with web element, with find by annotation, and all the stuff here. But in case of Solenoid, we can do better. We can write it in more concise manner. We can write it shorter and more useful for us. Let's see on Solenoid options. We go and switch to Solenoid template here. And in this case, we'll have this code. Let me enable maybe software to show you all the content. We have 2 fields with no annotations, with a simple Solenoid element type and a simple equals operator, and that's it. We do not have any strange page factories. We do not have any boilerplate to initialize our class, just simple useful selectors here. I'm going to copy this class to my code and use it for my test. Okay, I will slightly change my names of these fields. For instance, it will be show item. And also I will change this and remove many unused selectors to only this, like this. Also, I will rename my page with refactor rename in IntelliJ IDEA. It will be simply to do MVC page. And we'll use this page in our test. Let's go back to main test. I will remove my to-do input. Instead of this, I will create a private field with to-do MVC page variable. Okay. Now we replace this with simply with this. This is not the correct page object pattern so far, because here we use Selenoid elements directly. Sometimes it is just easy to proceed with this way, but let's go and do everything like really nice in our case. I'm going to copy this code and add the corresponding method here, like void add item here. We will extract this as a text parameter. Okay, it will be a local variable with type string. Okay, I'm going to paste it here as a variable passed as parameter. Let's use this add item. Sorry, let's go back to add item method. That's it. So that's how we should use page object pattern. And also we can go and add assertion in our show item. But you should probably know that we should not put any assertions to page object. So instead of this, I'm going to go and write something like show item should be visible, and that's it. Or I can extract this to my page object, like should have show item. Okay. Now we can use this and okay. And this should be one more click show item method. And we'll create it. Show item, click. Nice. So that's how we can do page object patterns with Solenoid. It's just so much easier than Selenium with regular Selenium. So I would definitely recommend that you use it if you have complex UI testing logic where you need to reuse many patterns, many mappings of web pages. So I would recommend that you go and use Solenoid with page object. Okay, let's go back to our presentation. We have so many topics to cover. One additional topic I want to cover today is Kotlin for UI testing. As you remember, we have up to 8% of UI tests reported by our users written in Kotlin. So that's huge. Developers use Kotlin more and more for UI tests nowadays, and it has many useful features for UI testing. So let me show you how a Kotlin UI test project might look like with the same Selenoid library. Okay, so I'm going to show you a ready-to-use project. Here you might mention some differences with Selenium and with Java. First of all, we have this simple fun methods with no semicolons. Also, we use slightly different notation for selectors with method element, but we have new ways of doing UI tests with Kotlin. For instance, let's say I wanna write something like this. Let's say send keys, I don't know, text, and then I need to press enter. How we can combine these two calls in one single call and keep it simple and short? I will show you. With the power of Kotlin extension functions, we can employ additional extension function declared right in our project, like this, enter text, that will combine different calls on this element. And if we go and see how we can declare this, you will find this nice declaration that we add one more method with name enter text to Solenoid element, and this method sends keys to our element and hits enter. So that's how we, for instance, can use extension functions of Kotlin to improve your UI test logic. One more convenient way of doing UI tests with Kotlin is DSL methods. For instance, with a special with method, you can simplify your code if you need to perform many calls on the same element. For instance, my element should be visible. Then I'm gonna send keys there, like text. Also, I wanna then go and find some sub-element of this element. It will be, I don't know, sublist sub. And for this sublist, I'm gonna use some logic too, like should be visible, and then I don't know, maybe send keys some, and I wanna extract some CSS value there. I don't know, maybe background color, and name it color. So that's how I can simplify my code and do not repeat sublist again and again for all these three operations. That's how I can nest my operations with some scope, for instance, with a product list, and it will be more readable and more easier to like reuse blocks and employ Kotlin in your tests. So I would definitely recommend that you check Kotlin if you already use Selenium for UI test automation. Okay, let's go back. We have more topics to cover, and one useful topic today is reporting libraries. Plenty of frameworks have their own built-in reporting library, such as Serenity. Serenity have quite rich reporting library built in, but I prefer to use Allure framework as a simple reporting library that can be added anywhere, not only to Selenium tests, but also in web API tests or in some kind of test automation not related to UI and web APIs. So now let me show you how we can use this reporting library and what features it offers. Okay, I'm gonna switch to one more demo where we have this library added, Allure framework. First of all, here we have pretty standard tests with additional annotations, with feature annotation, with Allure library, with owner annotation from Allure library. And that's how I can add metadata to my tests. Then I also have Allure Solenoid integration that will post all the operations, all steps of my test to my report. So let me run my tests with this JetBrains.com website. Go and run this with Firefox and with Allure reports, and we will see how it improves your life, what additional data you can get if you use this reporting library. So now we'll hit JetBrains.com with simple, stupid tests that just try to open some menu items. And let's see which reports would be produced by our tests. So waiting for some kind of broken test so far. Yes, one is successful, and we have the second successful test. Okay, so we have this test results. Now we'll go to Gradle tool window, where we'll find Allure report task, run it. It will download additional tooling to generate reports in HTML format. You can find resulting HTML report in reports, Allure report. Let's open index.html, and let me open it in Firefox. That's how my report look like. I can find my tests, and in this test, I see all the successful steps and step that is failed with the screenshot. So I exactly know that this step with this, with this selector has failed. Also, I see where, like picture where it is failed. I have page source available. This is HTML attachment. You can download this HTML code and check your selectors. For instance, if you get these reports from continuous integration server, this is really useful. You can figure out problem element or problem functionality quickly without even restarting your test sometimes. So this is really essential. Also, if I go to behaviors menu, I will find my tests that is shown with navigation and search categories. This is how I categorize my test using feature annotation. So if you remember, we just added this feature annotation with the value search and with value navigation to our code. And that's how Allure Framework can categorize tests for you. Yep. Really useful if you have quite big UI testing code base. So recommend you Allure Framework, try, use, really nice stuff. And finally, we have final topic today. And not final, actually. I want to mention that you can not only write tests for web applications, we also have a really nice project called Appium. I'm not going to show you mobile tests today, but only mention that we have Appium library that enables you to write tests for mobile applications, both Android and iOS. Please check out Appium if you need mobile test automation. And finally, we are going to talk about running Selenium on CI server. There are plenty of options to run Selenium tests on CI. First of all, you can easily go and write simple script that will just run web browser on a host, like run your Gradle with WebDriver Manager, install your web browser on a virtual machine. But this is stupid because in the future, you are going to change your web browser version. You are going to add more different web browsers. And this is such a mess of configuration and maintenance. Instead of first option, I would recommend that you use either cloud services, which sometimes expensive, or try to check second and third option. Selenium Grid, you probably know about this product that allows you to set up many browsers, like cluster of web browsers on virtual machines, and then access this cluster from your tests. Or my favorite option is third, Solenoid. So what is actually Solenoid? So Solenoid enables you to run web browsers in Docker containers. It implements the same protocol as Selenium Grid. It is Selenium Hub protocol. It is easy to install, and you can easily share browser's configuration with all colleagues that perform those tests. Let's see how we can do this. First of all, as I know, the easiest way to run Solenoid is to run it with Docker. If you have Docker installed, you just go and run single command. It will download everything automatically. Then we just configure one URL in our tests. with either external configuration, as I showed before, or with inline configuration right in test code. And we can see our test running. Let me show you how we can do this. Okay, so in this project, I have Solenoid up and running right here in IntelliJ IDEA. Can open services tool window where I see running Solenoid. Also, I should mention, you can easily run your Solenoid right from browser JSON configuration. So if you use browser JSON for Solenoid, there you can configure all your web browsers for tests. In my case, this is Chrome with the following options. I can even have multiple different versions of different browsers, but for sake of simplicity, I have only Chrome with the 88 version. You can click launch here or configure your Solenoid and run it right from IntelliJ IDEA. And in this case, you do not need any command line. Just go and launch it right here. But in my case, I just have Solenoid up and running. Also, I have additional stuff called Solenoid UI. And let's see how we can run our tests with this Solenoid environment. For instance, if we need to reproduce some bug from continuous integration server. So I just go and uncomment this code. This is where I specify Solenoid URL with localhost and port. Also, I'm going to enable VNC for remote access to machine, to UI of this machine, and set it to browser capabilities. Let's go and run our tests with debug, because I want to show you that tests are running and Solenoid is accepting connections. So we go run our tests with Solenoid. And now we have JetBrains.com open it somewhere inside Docker image. And we should hit this breakpoint. So I can examine what's going on in now we have this breakpoint. Let's go to services tool window, open it, go to log tab, and see here we just received a new session, a new client that wanna run our tests with Solenoid and Chrome. Solenoid just spawned a new container, this container spawned by Solenoid with a Chrome driver. And Chrome and Chromium is running inside Docker container. So right here we have this tests running inside Docker, not on my UI, not with my web browser, but with Chrome browser with specific version and inside Docker container. So we resume our tests, and now Solenoid will proceed with all the test logic, and after test, it will shut down this container with Chromium because it is not required anymore. So now we have this container removed notification. So Solenoid just spawned, performed testing, and shut down this container. Quite nice. Also, I want to show you Selenium UI, Solenoid UI, special place where localhost, you can find state of your Solenoid cluster. So we have no sessions yet. Let me run my tests again and see UI of this JetBrains.com right from this web browser to see the state of the testing. So we run this right here, go back. Now we should have one session here. Nice, we have this session, open it, and we see what is going on inside our Docker container. So that's how we can debug our tests when they are running inside Docker. So quite useful, really nice. And you see what is going on, and logs and statuses, everything connected, and you used these images right now. Okay, let's proceed. So I just mentioned Solenoid UI. You can run it with Docker with this command. If you have Docker installed, it's quite easy to run it too. And finally, I should just wrap up all the session and mention that in this year, at no circumstances, you should not indent any custom frameworks on top of Selenium, because we already have everything written, running, and you can just go and get this and use it for your UI tests. So go check out Solenoid, Allure framework, Solenoid, no custom frameworks needed. We just write tests, check out links, and happy with our UI test automation. Yes, so that's it. If we have questions, I would be happy to answer all of them. So Dalia, what do you think?
We got so many questions and so many discussion points. It's been awesome seeing it all. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this presentation. So I'm going to get to as many questions as I can, but I am going to respect your time and keep it short. And if we don't get to your question, I'm sorry. You can reach out to Yuriy and ask your question
Go
there.
to Twitter and ask everything.
Exactly. All right. So I'll start from the beginning, kind of moving down. Someone was asking about your WebDriver new declaration. So new Chrome driver, they're wondering what that does exactly.
Yeah, let me open this example. Just try to find it where I have this, and like write this. What does exactly this? What is going on here? Yeah.
Yes.
We just create a new Java object that is compatible with the corresponding web browser and with the corresponding Chrome driver binary. So this is just some kind of proxy that sends all the options and all the requests, and it knows how to send those requests to Chromium driver binary. So this is just a new instance of object. It just do not do anything. It doesn't know where it can find binaries. It just know it should connect to binary using some protocol, run it, pass parameters there, and that's it.
All right. Another question was, what are some best practices for using multiple drivers in one test suite?
Oh, yeah. If you really need, in some strange setups, if you really need to use different drivers, in case of Selenium, you just instantiate as many drivers as needed. So you just go and create them like this. So many variables, many drivers, many different web browsers. But if we're talking about Selenoid, there is a separate Selenoid driver class. This is how you can get many drivers with different contexts, with different config, even with different timeouts, with different versions, with slightly different maybe settings. That's how we can instantiate multiple Selenoid instances to test this. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I believe you just go and instantiate as many drivers as you can. But I would not recommend this, because this is some kind of strange situation that you really need two web browsers in a test.
Yeah, that's fair. There were a lot of questions around Python, asking, is there any framework on top of Selenium to use with Python that you would recommend?
Yes, I would recommend such a framework called Selen, because it is somewhat similar to Selenoid. Let's go to PyPy and check this Selen. I would recommend that you check this Selen 1.0 second version. This is framework actually inspired by Selenoid. So author of this framework was inspired by Solenoid, and he implemented pretty the same Ajax support, pretty the same page objects patterns. And this my library of choice for Selenium with Python.
Awesome. Thank you. What about next generation from integration between AI and Selenium to create UI test automatically?
Oh, yeah, I know of such a development in the world, people trying to develop as many AI as possible for everything, but I do not know anything useful for regular testing, not exploration, not monkey testing, but when you need to check exact use cases, you still need to write those tests or generate those tests or somehow tell the computer they should do something. And AI cannot help you with those concrete, exact use cases so far.
That's fair. Yeah. Are there any options for providing a version of Firefox? Sometimes it's not the newest version. So I think
Yeah,
go ahead.
let's go and check. Yeah, I just opened this example. I have it right here. With WebDriver Manager, for each driver, you have plenty of options, including driver version and browser version. And you can even specify different versions if they are somehow compatible, or switch to different version here, or configure version using external properties for Solenoid, as I shown with timeouts and remote browser. So you can easily do this with WebDriver Manager. You do not need, at any circumstances, to download those binaries manually.
Cool. All right. How do you set up capabilities of a browser using Selenoid?
Yeah, I know this sometimes really needed. For instance, for Appium, you need to set up many capabilities. I just shown you that you can do this programmatically. So you can go and create desired capabilities object, set any properties, then go and set those capabilities right here to browser capabilities page. Also, if we dive deeper here to browser capabilities, we'll see that browser capabilities cannot be easily passed from external configuration, because they have so many different options. For instance, if I go and just open auto completion, I have so many different options. And in case of Appium, we have as twice as we have here options. So in this case, you can go and add one more system property and pass it as we do this for Solenoid here. So you can just go and paste your system, get property, my enable VNC, and that's how you can externalize those capability properties.
Cool. What's the latest stable version of Selenoid?
Yeah, we can go to their website. We have so many useful announcements each month. Just go to Solenoid, and right here we'll see release Solenoid 5.21. This is the latest version. Also, you can simply open mvnrepository.com, find Solenoid, Solenoid, and the latest version is here. So you can just go and find latest package. It just evergreen, and the guys doing great. They deploy new version each month with updates, fixes, big community around the library. You can go check out their GitHub. So many people use this. I definitely recommend Solenoid.
I like that you're teaching them how to fish. In report generation, can we use any other report generation tool for printing all the steps in our test case? What are the tools? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, if we go and check this add listener method of Selenoid logger, we might have custom logger here. So I just go and create a new object, and we have this two methods, after event and before event. And that's how we can customize our reports if we need to use, I don't know, maybe a different reporting library, or if we try to create custom report with steps. Yeah. So here we just go and populate steps using our own report. So this is pluggable. So Solenoid allows you to add custom handling for before and after events for steps for logging.
Awesome. Great.
Also, they log all the steps automatically to usual logs. So if we open, let's say, if we open usual logs, console logs, you'll find the standard statements of steps there.
Great. There were some questions around if you have any GitHub repos that you want to paste a link of for folks to take a look at.
Yes, let me just go back and show you one useful link in the presentation. Of course, I will share the complete presentation right after the session, but if you need this right now, you can go to GitHub, find my handle, and find IntelliJ Solenoid example, or just paste IntelliJ Solenoid example to the search, and you will find this example with Solenoid library, with Gradle setup, with Allure listener setup, with browser.json, with Solenoid. So all kind of examples right here.
Great. I think I'll probably wrap it up here since we're out of time. Thank you so much for coming. This was very, very educational. And if you have any questions for Yuriy, reach him out on...
Yep. Go and ping me on Twitter.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Yuriy.
Yeah. Thank you, Dalia. Thanks guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone, for joining today. Next time, we're going to have a live stream on June 16th, and it's going to be about fixing security flaws in Spring Boot applications using IntelliJ IDEA and Sync. It's a topic that I really love hearing about, especially that security is something that is hard to get right. So definitely tune in on June 16th. Brian Vermeer is going to be talking to us about that. Thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks. Bye.